Anderson, you'll just carry on as needed. This is Anderson Lafee. I believe all of you would know him or have worked with him in some fashion, and he's a senior now. He'll take over. He's going to share with us a little bit about his senior project.
Okay. Hello, my name is Anderson Lafee. Today in this presentation, I want to talk a little bit about my senior project, which was creating or building a network. I also talk to you about the steps that I have to follow in order to get this project done. Also, I want to share with you some basic information about networking and network. And finally, I'm going to demonstrate you a little bit what the configurations that I did in the Cisco devices and stuff like that. Well, my plan in doing this senior project was thinking in the next generation that from the computer information system department that maybe wants to build networks or improve the networks that we have over there. So that was my main focus over here. All right. First, my main goals or personal goals were set up 2 different networks, and this was also required for this stuff. Have connectivity between the 2 end users, because when you see the topology, you're gonna understand more about it. We got an end user, a switch, a router, another switch, and another end user in the other network. And of course, get the knowledge. That was the most important part on my personal goals. Let's show you the network topology. The network topology is like a diagram or a picture of what do we have to accomplish with this network. So as you can see over here, we got the end users. We can add more over here if we want to, but for the purpose of this project, we use one and one. We got a switch, a router, another switch, and another end users. So let's start with some definitions so you kind of know about the network. Network is a group of 2 or more computers linked together. And the switch is a computer networking device that connects devices together on a computer network. And the router is a networking device that forwards data package between the computer networks. So as you can see over here in the topology, let me show you more picture. This part over here is one network, and the other part over here is another network. These 2 networks have different IP addresses, and the main point, as I said before, was to get from here to the other end users. You might ask yourself, why do we need 2 networks instead of 1? So the greatest advantage that I found by myself were that we can improve security for the first part, and also the traffic is going to be better, it's going to be faster. As well, we can share end users. Let's say that we have, I don't know, 50 users over here, and we segment the network, so we can share the end user and say, let's get 25 over here, or 25 over here, or 40 here, and 10 here. So it's a good way to share the users. And in the point of security, let's say that we are being attacked from someone out there, and the attacker successfully compromised this computer over here. The other 29 computers, let's say that we have 30 over here, the other 29 computers are going to be at risk as well. While in the other network is going to be safe, because in computer and technology, nothing is really secure, but it's a way to improve security. And in the traffic, imagine that we have the 50 end users over here, and we don't have that segment over there. And the traffic is going to be slow. Maybe the package is going to drop, or don't get to the destination and then come back. So this is a way to improve the traffic as well. Okay, the steps to achieve the goal. Well, the first one was to identify the Cisco equipment available for this project. So the Computer Information System department provide me with some routers and some switches and even the Ethernet cables, console cables. I have to identify which ones will I use in my project. So that was the first and main step to start this project. Then I have to test the equipment. What do I mean with testing the equipment? Power on the equipment, get into the console, and see what images does the device have inside, see the version that is running, how many ports, stuff like that. Check it and test it, to see which ones I will really use for my project. The next steps was get the Cisco equipment in the racks. I want to say something first before talking about that. The hospital, known as Blessings from Quincy, Illinois, provide us 2 racks for the CIS department and for the people over there. So Mrs. Stott and Dr. Nelson and myself are really grateful about it. And also I want to say thanks to Milos, who was an international student here and got his degree in computer information system, and he was involved in all this process. So I just want to say thank you to those guys. Okay, getting the Cisco equipment in the racks was a really long process for me, because as you can see, the Cisco devices are pretty heavy. The routers are heavy, the switches are heavy, and the servers, you can imagine how much the servers are big, so are really heavy. So here, my partner, Antonio Cecin, did the hard work for me, because he was actually holding the devices while I was like putting the screws and stuff like that in the rack. So I want to say thanks to this guy for helping me. And right after that, the next step was to making a spreadsheet. I just went to the computer and make a spreadsheet and like putting every detail of the devices that I already knew that I was using for the project. So I typed the serial model, how many routers do I have, the images, how many ports, and all these details that will help me to find upgrades for the Cisco devices. And I didn't only do it for the equipment for the project, but I also do it for the equipment that we have in the network, in the CIS lab as well. And the final step was finding some upgrades for the equipment. This was a really long process. I mean, I have to surf the net a lot to find the images for all the devices, but I couldn't find anything. All the images were pretty old, like from 2001, 2003. I have to contact the Cisco people, tell about my plan, about this project, and they were like, okay, that's pretty good that you wanna do a single project and stuff like that, but you don't actually have the license to get these upgrades. So here I wanna say thanks again to the computer services department, because they give me a hand on this part, and they actually have a license and were able to contact the people from Cisco and do all these diligences for me as well. Unfortunately, we didn't have any images for the routers, and the main point for this, in my opinion, is because the equipment was too old. So Cisco didn't support this equipment anymore. But we actually find some of them for the switches, although the images weren't the right ones, but I still have a lot of fun transferring and backing up and putting it back and trying and troubleshooting. So this is a step that I think that I will not forget. Okay, transferring images. The way to transfer images was by using something called, or known as a TFTP server, which stands for Trivial File Transfer Protocol. We have to get the TFTP up and running in our computers in order to transfer these images back and forth. Another software that we need in order to even get into the devices and see the images and stuff like that is the software called Purity. I call it Purity. It's a terminal emulator, serial console, and a network file transfer application. And this is how it looks like, and I'm going to show you later a little bit how to use it in demonstration part. Okay, we continue with transferring images. The steps to back up or upgrade the Cisco devices were the following. Have a computer running TFTP server and do it, as I said before. Get the Cisco device, could be a router, a switch, whatever we want to upgrade. Get a Cat5 or 6 cable, which is this one, an Ethernet cable, and a console cable as well, which is this one over here, and the new images. So we can back up the old ones to our computers and get the new ones inside the switch of the Cisco equipment. Another way that I was really interesting when I found this is to transferring files is Xmodem. Xmodem is a popular file transfer protocol developed by Ward Christensen in 1977. This kind of software is used when the Cisco device is brand new or the Cisco device doesn't have any images at all, anything at all inside the switch or the router. So this is like the old school model to transfer the files, and it was pretty fun. Also, it was pretty slow. We have to set the valve and check the speed in the software purity, and then in the switch, and then transfer it, and it will take 30 minutes to transfer a file. Also, X modem was replaced by Y modem and C modem as well, and you can find this software in another software called Extra Purity, which is like the same as Purity but with so many features. And one of the features is a modem, which is the one that I use for transferring files. And this is how it looks like when you're transferring. Okay, configuring the devices. This is a basic information, but it's really good to understand, to have it clear, because it's like the core or getting into the switch and understanding what is going on in the switch. The Cisco commands, the Cisco command nodes have like a level. So the first one is the user accept mode, as you can see over there, and the second one is the user privilege mode, and the third one is the global configuration mode. The second one is known as the enable mode, because you actually have to type enable in the device in order to get to that mode. The global configuration mode is basically where you configure globally. You can configure IP addresses, you can give description to VLANs or interfaces. You can use, for example, the command service password encryption to encrypt all the passwords, configure console lines, BTG lines, and stuff like that that I'm going to show you later if I have the time to do it. This is the network, how it looks like. This is one of the racks that the hospital provides us. And this is the network that I create. I actually am only using for this project this interface over here, these two over here, and these two over here. But I was, like playing with the Cisco devices and trying interface over here, and I also want to make it the network a little bit good looking, so I put all the cables over there to make it fun. And also testing connections. This was one of my major goals, my personal goals. So as you can see over here, in my computer, on Mrs. Todd's computer, I use a command known as ping, which sends packets, and it tells you how many packets the destination received, the success, the rate, if you got 80-100% success or 100% success. So if you remember that topology, we have an end user, a switch, router, switch, and end user again. This is the first end user, for example. And I'm going to ping 192.168.2.13, which was my first switch. So as you can see over here, I sent 4 packages, received 4 packages, lost 0 packages, and I got 100 success. The same I did for the router. But as you can see in the topology, the router have like this internal part and the external part. So I first pinged the internal part, and it was 192.168.2.1, and I have success. Then I pin the other part of the router, then the switch, and then the end user, and I have a 1% success in the test connectivity. Okay, now let's switch gears here and start playing with the device that I bring over here. As I said before, you need a computer running TFTP server if you want to transfer files. You need purity or extra purity to transfer files to get into the device. You need the console cable, the Ethernet cable to actually have success with this. So I'm going to show you a little bit here. This is how the switch looks like inside in the console. So we press enter. And I already set some configuration, so he's going to ask me for a password. And I already know the password, and now I'm in the user accept mode. Now from here I want to go to the user privilege mode, so I'm going to type the enable command. And it's going to ask me for a password again. And now I'm in the privilege mode. Here we can do some commands like show running configuration. And it's going to give you the running, what is running over here right now in the device. So as we can see over here, we got a lot of interfaces. We have about 24 interfaces, fast Ethernet interfaces, 2 gigabit Ethernet interfaces. I also create a interface VLAN, which was the one that I used to transfer the files. Although this isn't the switch that I use or one of the equipment that I use for my project, but I want to bring this one so I can show you a little bit about the configurations. So, for example, if you want to get to the global configuration mode, we type the command configure T, and now we are in. So let's say that we want to give a host name to the switch. We type the command host name. You can use the tab in the keyboard, the tab key to help you with these commands. And let's say that we're going to call this switch switch 3, for example. Then we go exit, and we do this command to build the configuration over there. Now, as you can see over here in this part, the switch is known as switch 3, so we change the name of the switch. So let's go back to the global configuration mode, and let's say that we want to set up IP addresses to an interface. So let me go back real quick and say show running. See the interfaces, and let's do the interface fast Ethernet 1. We go to the global configuration mode again. We say interface fast Ethernet 0, 1. So we are now in the interface. And now let's set a description. This is the command for the description. Let's say that this is the interface to connect to internal part of router 2. So it is too long. So we say description again. Say interface to connect router 2. There we go. So we set a description. So when I go in the show running configuration, I'm going to see the description of this interface. Also, let's say that we want to set an IP address over here. We go IP address. C. address 192, 168, 241, and the subnet, Lafee. Oh, I know. I actually can assign an IP address here, and I really can't tell you why, but this error happened to me last time yesterday. So let me create a VLAN first. So we're going to the configurative again. Say interface VLAN 2, for example. Assign an IP address. There we go. 192.168.2.1. Subnet mask. Lafee. Now we set up an IP address. We set not shut down so we get the interface up and running over here, and we actually can give a description as well. Interface to transfer images, and then we're good with exit, and then we're good. And we can do this command to build the configuration. So in the privilege mode, if I go show running configuration, I should have the interface VLAN number 2 right here, with the description, the IP address, and the subnet mask, and it's up and running. What else can I show you to you guys? For example, if you want to transfer a file, an image, using the FTP server, we have to get the FTP server up and running right here. We configure it. We stop it and then start it again to make sure. We go to the console again and we do the command copy flash the FTP. After this, we should know already the name of the image, and I have to go back to find it with this command, show flash or show version as well, it's gonna work. As you can see over here, this is the image that the device is running right now. So let's copy it and go back and say copy flash TFTP, because we are transferring the file with TFTP server. Then we put the name of the image over here. We give the address of the computer, because the computer is the one that is running TFTP server. And then after this, the transfer is started. Also, I can really show you Xmodem over here, because the device has already an image on it. But if this device was brand new, I have to actually get here on extra PuTTY, for example, and then when I'm over there, I go file transfer. As you can see, we got the options over here, Y modem and X modem and C modem over here. So I use X modem after I type a command that is copy X modem to flash, and then the name of the image that I want to transfer to the device, and then we do this part over here and send the file, and it's going to start transferring. That's how we transfer files. What else can I show you? I'll show you IP addresses. Let's say that we want to encrypt the password, or set up some password as well. We go to the configuration and we set line console 0. And we go over here password and say Cisco, for example. Then the login command exit with build the configuration. And then if I exit and want to go into the console, it's going to ask me for a password. So the password is going to be Cisco, and I already know the other password. Over here, that's how we set password. Also, we can say service, as I told you before. Service, password, encryption, and then when we go to the running configuration. All the passwords that I already said before, and this one that I just said, should be encrypted, as you can see over here. You don't see the password, you see just numbers over here, or letters. And I did that, that's pretty much what I want to show you. You're gonna see the images that the device has. I already showed you show flash, but you can do show version, and you see the version of the device running. Over here you see the image and detailed information about the device. Also we can do a command that is erase the started configuration, so it's going to erase everything that we have over here. What else can I show you? So show IP interface here. It's a command to show a summary of the interfaces that we have. We have the VLANs that we have and stuff like that. And this is basically how you configure devices. Of course, there are more complex stuff to do when you are trying to get to one network to the other network, but this is the basic of configuring the device in a network. And that's it. Thank you very much. If you have any questions that I can help or make it clear.
What was the most difficult thing you found about the project?
Transferring the files.
That's really
Yeah, because I just didn't understand why I couldn't. Great, because I was doing all the process right. I have the right commands. I understand how to do it, but for some reason it wasn't happening. And unfortunately, we got the wrong images, so it's never gonna work like that. Yeah, that was the major problem that I have. But I actually have fun doing it. I mean, I learned how to do it. I'm really proud about it.
I have a question. How much experience did you have with networking and specifically Cisco equipment before the project started?
Before, I did have a little experience because last summer I worked in a bank in my country, Central Bank of Venezuela, but I worked more in the service part and the program, operating system part, maybe using Hyper-V and virtualization, all this kind of stuff. But I spent 1 week in the telecommunications department, so I get an idea of how this works, and I get to see the big networks and the big servers over there, so it was pretty fun, and that's the experience that I have.
Didn't you have a little bit with Packet Tracer
Oh,
and those
yeah,
things prior,
I mean,
but with the actual
physical
equipment?
part, yeah, like working with physical stuff, yeah, that's the experience that I have. But in theory and practicing with Packet Tracer, yeah, of course, in classes, yeah. Yep.
So you eventually did get the PCA to PCB working
Yeah,
correctly?
I can show you in the lab.
Yeah.
So the ping was successful across, that's what the screenshots were
And I
for.
could do it back and forth.
Didn't you thanked Blessing, but didn't you participate in picking up the racks and bringing them here and that type of thing? You had to take a trip over there and,
You too.
Yeah.
You helped me a lot.
you and I, yeah. I took him for muscle and I drove the vehicle. But part of your project, we had to go actually pick up the racks and then you had to move them and maneuver them and figure out what we were gonna do with them. And I thought maybe you were gonna show those pictures. You didn't get them off the Facebook page. We have
Actually,
pictures.
I got the pictures, but I didn't put it on the
Yeah, we have
presentation.
pictures of him actually touching the rack, so we have proof that he did it. Mhm.
Did you get to take a look at Blessing's system or anything while you were there, or just pick
Yeah,
stuff up?
actually, my host family, or not my host family, a friend host family, the mother works over there, and the father too, so the mother is a nurse, and the father was actually where we pick up the racks, so it was pretty fun when I met him there. And yeah, I know a little bit about this hospital, and it was great that they could help us with the racks. And
Were you on the trip when we went to visit that network center at the hospital?
Yeah, in the,
Data-
no,
Not on that one?
no.
We've been to theirs before, but not on that trip. But he did see his host father's, friend of the father, whatever. That was fun at work that day. Do you think every CIS student should do a senior project of some type?
Of course.
Why?
Just give you the knowledge and experience, and you know, you get to get the knowledge and act at the same time. Because if you get the knowledge, but if you don't act, it's useless. You know what I mean? So when you combine, you have the attitude, and you can combine those things together, you're gonna be successful. You're gonna success in what you are doing. So I always in favor of getting the theory, but as well as practicing and doing physical stuff, because it's really important when you go out there to a company, for example, and you understand networking, that when you see the physical stuff, you go like, oh, wait a minute, you know what I mean? Because you are not familiar right now with that, although you know all the theory. So I think it's really important, and the people should do senior projects, not only CIS department, all the departments, the business departments, I don't know, go to companies and learn from them and do stuff. So because it's really, really important.
So you're saying both are important.
Mhm.
Do you feel more confident?
Yeah, that's what I was telling to Antonio. If I go 4 years from now, I feel more secure. I feel like I can have success, I can accomplish things, so I can learn, I can be better. So that's a pretty good feeling.
Well, I want to publicly compliment you while we have an audience here. I can remember the first presentation I made you do, and your hands were physically shaking, and your voice was so nervous. I thought, I don't know if you could be pale, but you were going to pass out, I think. I'm not sure. But I can just remember how very, very nervous you were. And I don't remember how much English you had when you came, but you started as ESL.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
From
But
0.
I did not see your fingers and hands shake a bit today.
Yeah, I
I'm sure
feel-
they were, but you controlled them much differently now.
I feel pretty secure today, and that's why I was talking to him about it. I improved that confidence and those stuff that are important as well.
Mhm. So school is more than just in the theory and practice, isn't it?
Obviously. Yeah.
What are
It,
you-
it prepares you to the world out there. Yeah.
Speaking of the world after, what are your plans after you graduate?
My plan is after graduate is going to Miami in a few weeks. I'm gonna start in January maybe working for a company that works with network, and it's a friend that is in the company, so he's gonna help me to get in. And actually, after doing that, I want to start an online business as well. So I have 2 incomes, and let's see, I have success in both. But I want to learn in that part too. That's what I got a minor in business administration, and then after a few years, I'm gonna try to do the master, and keep learning, keep having experience, and can accomplish my goals.
You forgot one important part. We decided today in networking. In 5 years, you're going to have earned your first $1 million, so you can give back $10,000.
That's what I need to job. I got to bring
Because
equipment.
you're going to replace those switches with $10,000 easily.
10%.
Absolutely. You're forgetting the most important piece. I'm giving you 5 years to get that $1 million made. Don't forget that.
I agree.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you, Anderson, and thank you all for
very much.
coming. Yay. And as most of you have participated before, it's very helpful for him to have feedback. So if you take time to give him a comment or two, fine to have X's, but it's always better to have a little input. So thank you, and that concludes our demonstration today.
Thank you very much.